我怎么感觉有希望呢，兄弟们？
随便打，随便打。
我报喜，报！
哎呀，
我报。
哎呀，兄弟们牛逼！我操！
哎，牛逼，辛苦了，
终于过了，
不容易，不容易。
我知道。
Welcome everybody to MogTalk episode 277. Today is April 8th, 2023. If you guys are unfamiliar with MogTalk, it is a show based around the Final Fantasy XIV community discussing everything from Savage Raiding to Chocobo Racing. And tonight we're doing it a little bit later. Well, for me it's a little bit later, but for our guest it's early. It's like 11 a.m. I think for everyone that's coming up. Almost everyone, except for a couple people. But today's show is going to be actually pretty interesting for me because it's about the world race, and anytime that we would talk about the world race, I am extremely excited for it. I'm actually bringing on members from the China's community that participates in the world race because there's a lot of questions that I have personally about that and how that scene has evolved and everything that goes on with it, I guess. But before we go too much further into it, I do want to introduce the guests we have. The members are from two different groups. 5 are from one group, Steelfire, which is known as Common Play, or he was known as Common Players, and then we have one from Casual Players, actually. So I'll let them go ahead and introduce themselves and let everything about them. We'll start with Austin, actually.
好，就是他现在是让我们就一开始做了个介绍，然后现在就让我们像刚刚那样一个个介绍一下自己，就按照这个顺序来吧。艾斯汀，你先来。
Okay, hello everyone. I am Astin. I play caster in the TOP on Steelfire.
Okay.
Hello. And also, I should have mentioned this too. Krebs and Overflown are going to tag team the translation for us. To make it easier, and so you'll see their names light up as we're going in through the conversation. But next on the list, Clark.
Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Clark, and I played Reaper in the TOP. I've been playing this game for about 5 years, and it was about the patch 4.5, which was my first Savage AlphaScape, so I'm very excited about this ultimate. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, excited to have you on. And Krebs.
Hi everyone. This is Krebs from Common Player. I'm a tank main and I play Dark Knight in TOP. So yeah, I put a Chinese word tomato after my name because my nickname in same server is Tomato. I never use Krebs, so as a name in front of my friend and never speak English in front of my friends. So this tomato will help them to recognize me. Yeah, it's me.
That's good. All right. Overflowed.
Hey everyone, I played as the supporter role for Common Player, now known as Steelfire, of course, for top. I used to be the physical arranged for the team. I'm very excited that we managed to get such an achievement in top. I'll pass on to the next one.
Yeah, SR.
Hello. 我并不是普通玩家的一员，是艾斯汀邀请我来的。我 4.4 版本在国际服玩， 5.0 创建了休闲玩家团队，热衷于速刷和非常规阵容通关，带来一些有趣的演出。
你是哪个版本来着
？4.4。
4.4 OK. Hi, my name is SR. I'm not part of Steelfire. Asking invited me to the show. I'm keen on doing unusual challenges with by clearing raids with non-standard comps, and I formed this group Casual Player in patch 4.4 to dedicate into doing these kind of challenges, such as speed kills and unusual non-standard comps clears.
Awesome. It's always exciting. We as Final Fantasy XIV players love the game so much, we always try to find another way to play it, even if it's not supposed to be that way. You? Oh, if you would translate that too, you could.
小雨，就是他说他见到净水做的这些就是事情，他也觉得很 exciting， 就是很激动，就是看到这些非常规的击杀、speed kill 啊这种。对，然后小雨介绍一下。
OK. Hello, I'm UK. Tank player. Nice to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. How long have you been playing?
小雨，你玩了多久了这个游戏？
大概是19年
，3年
，about 3
years.
Started playing from 2019.
2019.
So around 3-4 years.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. That's around the Shadowbringers timeline. Man, it's been a long time. I keep thinking, oh well, that was just like last year, but it's been 4 years since that.
你要不翻译一下？
就是他说这个时间确实过得很快，然后他觉得这个暗影的烈焰只是很最近的事情，但是他现在一想已经过了3-4年了，就这样子。Okay.
So before we go too much into it, we have Stillfire on here, which 5 of the members are from. You guys may have known him as Common Player when watching the World Race. And then we have one member here, SR, from Casual. Is it Casual Players or Casual Player?
Casual Player.
Okay. And so I want to learn a little bit more about these two groups as well, and just kind of how they formed and everything. I'll start with Stillfire now, and I do want to ask why you guys changed your name too, but if you could let me know a little bit about the group and how you kind of formed and when you guys actually formed up.
好，首先他说我们现在这边有2个队伍嘛，一个是净水的 Casual Player， 一个是我们的 Common Player， 所以他想了解一下我们2支队伍的是怎么创建的，然后先从我们这边 Common Player 开始，然后同时他也想问一下，就是我们后来为什么要改这个名字，然后改名这个 part， 其实我有点想说 ，OK， 就你们有谁要回答的吗？
我建议我们就让队长说呗，阿斯英来说。
可以啊，我觉得。
就我说队伍怎么成立的，反正你估计也不太清楚。
对。So we recommend our captain Astin to explain this because we are kind of new to this group actually. Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'm not.
Astin，
我的 talking
about 用中文吧，让贝飞
说中文吧，多说一点。
就我是从 2.1 开始的玩家，然后差不多 3.0 就 Heaven's Sword 那个版本来进入到来开始正式的就是打钢本吧，然后在当时一般都是每天只是3-4个小时休闲队，然后就直到说就绝压的时候看到 TPS， 觉得他们呢好厉害啊，能比其第2名的队伍能早个3-4天过，就想我们能不能像他们一样能够玩得那么好，或者是他们是怎么做到的，有什么可以向他们学习的地方。然后当然一直是因为自己工作和学习的原因没有机会来做尝试，直到 6.0 的时候开始想说那现在是应该是时候了，我现在有时间来做这个，那所以想成立一个队伍。所以我们最早成立的时候是在龙狮的时候，然后当时是16嘛，世界第16，然后这次的话就龙狮那个绝欧相比龙狮更换了5个人，但成绩还相对在原有基础上有一些进步，所以说就感觉还蛮就努力值得尝试，就这些努力都有一些回报。 那如果说到改名的话，就是原本是对于云玩家和
我先说
别
这段吧。
先让他翻译一下吧。
行，OK。
So me Astin Astin said I started playing from patch 2.1 and at that time I was just playing some casual content and I started playing for the high end content from Heaven's Ward, but it was also in a relatively casual group, and until when T hit Alexander hit, I was amazed by how early TPS cleared the fight more than all the other teams who participated in the world race. That was almost 2 days before other teams, I think. And so I decided to try that kind of stuff. World racing, go for test your limits. But I was busy on IRL stuff by that time, so it wasn't until 6.0 when I had time to actually dwell myself into world racing. I formed this group, Common Player, in 6.0, and we got a pretty good first result from DSR, which we got World 16th, which was like quite satisfactory for me because I've never done anything like that before. Now that for top we had 5 members replaced, we got World 5th, which is so much better, and I'm very happy with the results. We paid a lot of effort into practicing, into preparing for the fight, and they all paid off.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So I can't remember when I started seeing groups show up, but we'll get into that in a little bit. I don't want to be I don't want to forget about talking about SR's group here too. I don't know if
he was gonna continue on to the reason why
they changed the name.
Oh yeah. Sorry,
I cut him off because it was too long for me to translate.
Yeah, it's a lot. Sorry.
Right. 那阿星你接着说。
艾斯汀继续说吧，我也想说。
改名是原本的名字是为了致敬云玩家 Cloud Player 的休闲玩家 Cosplayer， 就是这是一个梗嘛，在我们这中国人里面，就云玩家，你愿意翻译的话，可以翻译一下这个意思。然后
，Okay. So at first we named ourselves common players as a respect towards casual players and cloud players who are both very famous Chinese teams.
Oh, okay.
It's like a meme kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Right. 你接着说，阿星。
然后至于改名的话，就队员会说，
改名就
致敬是一回事，我们也很尊重那个云玩家跟那个休闲玩家，我们想有一点不一样的，所以，然后我们能不能换一个比较酷一点的名字？这之外，就这些。
范先，你刚刚有什么想说的吗？
没事，你先翻译他的。
哦，行。So some of the group members from common players were not so happy with the name because it's too similar to the other two teams. I mean, with all due respect, we like other teams, the other two teams, but it's just too similar and sometimes confuse people. So we decided to make a change on that.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I have something to say about this. So as a team member, and I entered this group right before this tier. And when I first, before I came in, I saw the team name is Starlight, and I think it's a really good name. Then I say, oh, this is a good team. I can join. Then after I enter TOP and see our logs, I find the name changed to Common Player. Like, excuse me? And then, like, most of our team members, I mean everyone but Asting, think this name is too common. So we all don't like this name. And after the progress, the first thing we did was telling S team to change this name to something else. Yeah, because
Yeah, Krabs is the one who planned the group.
Okay. That's pretty funny. So it was more of something like you got the group together, I guess, and it was kind of funny to have that name. But now that the group is doing really well, you're like, well, maybe we should be a little bit serious and have our own name. Is that kind of the situation?
对，他就说一开始大家聚集在一起啊，随便起个名，然后后来发现，哎，这个我们队伍成绩越来越好了，然后是不是要把这个名字改的就是像样一点啊之类的，就这样。对 ，OK。Yep.
Okay. So now I want to learn a little bit about SR's group, which is common or casual players, and knowing kind of how they formed and everything, how they came up with their name. If SR feels comfortable talking about that.
静水他现在就想问问你这个队就是成立或者是怎么样的一些历史，就如果你觉得想要说的话，就可以说一下。
好的，那我开始说。然后我自己是从3.2开始打零式的，然后4.0的时候其实就在国服打速刷了。但是呢，你也知道国服的版本是落后于国际服的，所以你国服打得再好，我们当时4.0是比国际服第一的队伍快了20秒，你也是站在巨人的肩膀上摘苹果。所以呢，到后面4.4就打算去国际服打。4.4的那个队伍呢叫 Delete MCH， 也是致敬3.4版本国际服一个非常厉害的队 Delete and Monk。然后当时我们打了 O9S、O11S 和 O12S 门神的第1名。但是就是后来因为一些不愉快的事情，或者说是你给的任务超过了你能接受的这个时间，然后 O12S 没有打完，后来也就散队了。然后散队之后呢，我想的是应该休闲一点玩游戏，就是不能打得特别的吃力，特别的紧张。所以5.0的时候我重新建队的时候就把名字叫做休闲玩家。
Okay. So I started playing Savage on Chinese server from patch 3.4 3.2 and then I started trying to go for some speed kill records still on Chinese server from Stormblood. But you know, like we had a few achievements by that time but we understand that because Chinese servers are like 2 months later than actually more than 2 months, but like a whole patch behind the international server, we were basically just, you know, making achievements by standing on the shoulder of a titan, a giant, because people have figured out a lot of strats and we're just using them to achieve the even better speed kill records in that patch. So it's kind of unsatisfactory for us because we had a very good record, but we cannot bring it up front, say we did this and we did it better than those who played on the international servers because we had more time, simply. So we decided to go to the international server and we named our team Delete MCH Machinist. In respects to one of the very famous team at that time who named themselves Delete Monk, I think. And we got a pretty good result that patch straight away. We got number 1 in speed kill on all 9S, 10S, and the door boss of 12S. But for the part 2 of the 12S, we had some unhappy incidents within our group, so we didn't finish that. And after that, I thought doing hardcore raiding was too stressful for us, so I formed a new group and named ourselves Casual Players, as in to oppose the hardcore raiding stuff. That was pretty much it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and that makes a lot of sense too. And I guess whoever can answer this would be great. But a lot of, I guess, the world race community from China probably all feels the same way, as in they want to compete because they feel like it's much more of an accomplishment to compete it when the content is new and fresh for everyone in the world versus getting it later. And so the challenge is there, and that's why most of the groups do it from China instead of doing it on their local service there, right?
就是他说，首先非常感谢两边的回答，就是让大家很了解到这个队名是怎么来的。然后呢，就是说他说中国应该有很多的玩家，他们也想要追求很好的成绩，但是呢，又因为国内的这个时间，就是国内的这个补丁时间更慢一点嘛，所以就必须要去到那个国际服才能享受最先进的，就是最前面的一些内容。对。Okay. Yeah. So, any questions you are asking? Like,
yeah. If they would agree that most groups are like that, sorry, most of the world race groups are like that, and that's why they do it.
Yeah. So, if you want to like get the most updated version for Final Fantasy 14, then you have to go to like global servers,
right?
For the new content.
Okay. Mainly because I think that some people might wonder why, because it's much more difficult to play on the JP servers, I assume, with latency and everything else versus the servers in China. And so I'm wondering, a lot of people might wonder why they do it. And so I was trying to help like explain the sentiment that like it's because of a challenge and it doesn't feel as good to do it on the Chinese servers. Yeah.
他是跟观众解释一下，就是因为很多观众他们也不知道我们为什么会要跑到那个日本的服务器去玩，因为我们如果在中国拿到了差不多的成就，但是其实别人在国际服上已经做过了，所以其实就是没有那么有成就感，因为都是站在巨人的肩膀上，就是他就解释一下
，Okay. And so I guess I'd want to follow that up with. Like, does any of the members really have a major concern having to play on JP servers versus the servers locally there, or is it pretty like easy to do? No one really thinks about it, or no one really cares.
他想问一下，就是大家关于在日本的服务器那边玩，有没有一些什么担心？就是跟在国服玩相比，有没有一些担心？还是说就是感觉非常简单，就是没有什么关系？就大家有没有什么想法？就比如说语言问题啊，或者什么，或者担心延迟啊之类的。
我觉得没什么，这些语言和延迟这些都有方法可以解决。就语言的话，有那个做的那个翻译表，我们有那个很厉害的社区大佬做的那种日语、英语的那个简称表，自己复制粘贴就可以了。然后，如果是实在不行，还可以只跟国人玩，因为现在我们会有个戏称叫“马纳大区是国人4区”嘛，就是因为国人太多了。
确实。
So Krebs asking if there were any, concerns on, say, language or latency. And in response to that, asking said, they are not really a big problem for us. As in, for the latency, we have, that sort of gaming VPN to speed us up for it. And for the language, we had a few very nice players in the community who made those translation sheets for us to use when we have to communicate with Japanese players. We can just copy paste the languages from the translation sheets. It's got some of the very usual, very useful, and very often used phrases and sentences there for you to copy paste into the chat so they can understand you.
Okay.
And then when it comes the other way around, when the Japanese players tries to talk to you, I guess you can just use Google Translate.
have you had any issues with players from Japanese servers, playing with you or anything, or like the language barrier causing issues to where they don't want to group with you or anything of that nature?
你们有没有碰到就是当你们跟日本人玩的时候，他们因为一些语言的障碍啊，或者一些知道你是中国人啊，然后不跟你玩这种情况有没有？
一般没有，我个人是没有。反正只要你遵守日服的一些规则的话，就大家都反正都是玩同样游戏的玩家，都交流还蛮顺利的。
入乡随俗。
对，
然后一般来说，不要故意去进那个 Japan 的队伍，也不会说有什么冲突吧。就大家知道我是在那个日服有碰到一些很友好的日本玩家，就是我刚来国际服的时候，我有认识当时是5.3开博兹雅的时候，我有认识一名很友好的日本玩家，当他知道我是中国人的时候，还把我介绍给他的部队成员，所以都还好。
So Astin said, not really. And you said, as long as you sort of follow the Japanese those rules in Japanese servers, you are good. And especially don't join the PF that states JP only.
Right.
And I think everything is all right. He has even met one JP player, a very friendly JP player at some point, and they had a very happy time playing together, and the guy even introduced him to his FC members.
Yeah.
So like all of them are Japanese. So
Oh.
yeah, he had a pretty good time, interacting with Japanese players.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I suppose, I don't know as much. Like, I don't play on Japanese servers myself. This is much hard. I don't know if it's harder for me, but the latency is a lot harder to overcome for me. But at the same time, I am always interested in how the community kind of responds to anyone who is coming from like a different region or anything, because I've heard different responses over the years where some, I guess, like Australian players playing on the JP servers and everything ran into some issues and everything, but that was probably a different situation than what you guys are running into.
Yeah， 就是他
I think
我先翻译一下。
你说。
对，他先就是说自己他也试着去在 JP 那边玩过 Frosty， 然后他就是说延迟的问题他很难克服，然后他也很好奇，就别人去日本服玩的话会遇到什么样的情况，然后他也听过不同的人的反馈，他说之前就是有澳大利亚的玩家去JP 服玩，然后就会碰到一些问题，就也跟他提过，所以他也好奇就是不同人的反应，所以他刚刚问那个问题。对。
Right. I'm just gonna answer your question straight away.
Yeah.
It's actually a response to your previous question, because I forgot to add it to that. I personally have had some sort of horrible incident with Japanese player. There was one time when I was playing expert roulette. I think I might have pulled the mobs a bit earlier than the tank, but that was just one time, and they started to say some bad words against me, because they realized I had my clients on English. You can check out on players, right?
Yeah.
But I actually responded with Japanese, because I can type a bit of Japanese and understand what they're saying. And they were accusing me for using translators and stuff. So like I was not very happy with that experience, so I just left the group. That was just one time, but like among all these years of me playing on a Japanese server, I think that's a very rare instance.
Okay.
So
well, that's the difference.
There are people who are not very inclusive, but I think most of them are very nice.
Yeah, that's so different than NA players, unfortunately, where they get upset if you pull mobs before the tank does. But yeah, I'm always interested about these kind of different interactions with different communities kind of working together. And that's one of the reasons why I love the World Race so much, is because the World Race brings everyone together. You know, it's not just one region. We get, you know, the game players from China. We have those from EU, NA, Japan, and Korea too. I haven't, you know, gone too much into the community over there, but I know that there are some players there as well, and Oceanic players, just tons and tons of different players from all over the world. And it feels like this game is global because of the World Race. And I wonder if some of the people on this call maybe feel that way too, is that they feel like there's a sense of like global community with the World Race.
就是他就非常听到这些就是大家不同国家的玩家之间的交流，就他非常的开心，因为他也希望就是大家都能就是拿到体会到不同国家的玩家的想法嘛。然后其实就是这种世界的那种手刹竞赛，就是很好的把不同的国家的玩家都聚集在一起，因为大家竞争这个手刹的时候不管是日本的、中国的、欧洲的，还是甚至有韩国的，然后美国的各种国家的。玩家都在参与，所以他就是非常的开心，就是有这么一个机会。那么他就问一下大家有没有这种同样的感觉，就是觉得好像这种手刹竞赛把大家距离拉近了，让你感受到有一些其他国家的一些玩家的那种互动的感觉。
是有相同的感觉，因为就电子竞技，我们说就是很容易，或者游戏很容易让我们跟世界各地的人交流。我是在如果以前要交流的话，你必须说，坐个飞机到别人国家，但很难有这个机会。但是游戏让我们有这个机会，就这样。
Yeah, of course we feel the same. We're very excited that the world racing brings us together. I mean, from a esports sense, you know, of course it's very hard for people to, you know, physically gather around from all over the world, but you know, it's video games, online video games. You can just enjoy it from your home and still achieve the result of, you know, communicating with global players.
Yeah.
So we are very happy with it.
Yeah. You know, I heard, you know, I talked to Kindred. I know there was some communication with their team and everything too, but from my understanding, there was a lot of people watching the World Race on Bilibili. How many? Do you guys know how many people were watching it on Bilibili?
他跟之前 B 团他们做过一个访谈，就是手刹就是前面 World Race 结束了之后这个访谈，然后他们说有很多人在 B 站上看世界手刹的一些直播，相关直播。然后你们有没有人知道，就是 B 站大概有多少人在看这个手刹的直播？我觉得我们可以说一下卡出哪那种类型的。
我不知道，因为我们自己没手刹的时候，我们自己也在打，又没看主播，要问一下小哭。他们那个主播估算的话，大概有几万的10万左右吧，应该。
10万吗？有那么多吗？
主要是在 B 站看不见具体的人数嘛，所以就只能估计。
Yeah, 确实。All right, so Asing responded, since we were, you know, actually participating in the World Race, so we didn't really pay attention to how many people were actually watching on Bilibili. We can ask maybe Ku Sensei, who is actually restreaming the MogTalk right now, because he was doing that by that time. But a tricky point is that on Bilibili they don't actually show how many people are watching the stream. They show something called popularity instead, which kind of combines all the, you know, gifts, subs, chats, and of course viewer counts together. So you can't really just tell how many viewers are there straight away from the, you know, the popularity index.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
and
pretty much it.
I will also answer a little bit. Because after we finished the prog, I went to watch some other team doing the prog. Like there is a Black Mage player on Bilibili, which is really famous, and his team is like a triple range team. So it's really hard for them to meet the P6 damage check. And when they are getting close to the kills, they reach enrage again and again and again. And there's tons of people watching him that night. And they fight and get the kill, I think, until like 4 p.m. 4 a.m. I think. And there are so many people watching. I would say like more than 1,000 or like several thousand. I don't know. It's
a lot.
Tons of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And I assume most of the reason why players stream on Bilibili versus Twitch is because is Twitch not allowed in that sense over there to stream, and you have to stream through Bilibili?
他问一下，就是大家直播为什么选择在 B 站直播，而不是在 Twitch 直播？因为就他问一下，可能说我们是不是不准在Twitch 直播或者怎么样？我先回答一下。I think because in China, Twitch is kind of blocked.
Oh, okay.
So not every people can get access to Twitch, and the Bilibili is easy to access, and yeah, people just stream on it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we lost someone from the call, but I guess maybe they'll come
where's
back.
you?
Yeah, you I think disappeared, but
I'm trying to get. Okay, Clark said he might have just disconnected.
That's okay.
Because of internet connection.
When they're back, just let me know and I can get them back in the call.
All right, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he disconnected because of the internet.
No worries.
Right.
But yeah,
also,
we can keep going.
I just realized Ku-sensei responded in the chat on Twitch saying he had a highest concurrent viewer count of 2,000, and like in total there were like was it 100k viewers who have viewed his channel.
Okay, like different unique viewers.
Race.
Yeah.
Yeah, unique viewers.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed in the world race, there's about 250,000 unique viewers usually on the streams that we do. And so if you add in from China that many as well, there's a lot of people all over the world that watch this race, and it's really interesting to see that. Oh, I think I see you popped in general. Give me 1 second. There we go. Welcome back, you.
欢迎回来。
Sorry.
It's okay. No worries. So yeah, no, that is very interesting, and I'm glad that there seems to be some level of community that is forming around the race over there. And would you say that he is pretty much the one that's kind of leading that scene for viewing the world race?
Who do you mean?
Visibility?
Ku-sensei?
Yeah,
Ku-sensei?
Kusan. Yeah.
I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Actually,
really...
there are a lot of big streamers on Bilibili that plays Final Fantasy XIV, but I think most of them got some kind of like hardcore raid team to join in. So basically, they are raiding by themselves. And Ku-sensei is like a big streamer, but also he's not raiding, so he can do this kind of things. Yeah.
I'm a small streamer and I don't raid, so that works for me.
True.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I do appreciate there being more coverage out there as well too. I am interested kind of when a lot of the players from the community were they always paying attention to the world race in some sense, like since like Heavensward or Realm Reborn and everything else, or was the world race something that's more recent for a lot of the community players from the community?
他比较好奇，就是说对于中国的这些玩家来说，他们是一直都很关注这个世界这种手杀竞赛的吗？还是说比如说从 3.0 这种开始，还是说最近才开始关注的？这个我其实不知道，因为我入坑晚。就你们有没有人有什么想法？
我觉得这个应该跟就是高难的这个群体有关系，在老版本玩的人比较少，所以就只有玩高难那一群人关注。现在就是高难大家都开始参与了，所以自然也就会有很多人都来参与这个手杀的这 争夺，也有更多的人来关注这个手刹的这个直播。
竞赛，对对对。
So Clark said, I think this is related to the player count for it related to the amount of players who play high-end contents. I think there were not so many players who play high-end contents in the past, like say Heavensward, Stormblood, but I think we realized that there are more and more players who are interested in high-end contents, say Savage, Ultimate, or even just Extremes. And so the more players out there who are interested in this kind of content, the more there are gonna be who are interested in world racing. And that's why we are seeing a gradual race over the years on players who are interested in those world race contents.
Yeah, and also, I think since Shadowbringer, like a lot of people come into Final Fantasy XIV Steam server, so there's a spike of player numbers. So a lot of people entering after 5.0, and including me. So we were all my friends nowadays in Final Fantasy XIV, they were playing Overwatch at the time, like before Shadowbringer. So yeah, a lot of people enter in the game, I think.
Yeah, we had a spike prior to the the Western player count spike due to you know who Asmongodd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that just kind of popped in my mind is I know that I think WoW is being discontinued in China, correct?
Yes.
Does that mean that we can kind of expect even more players kind of going to Final Fantasy XIV over in China as well?
就他说中国的那个魔兽世界现在停服了嘛，然后他就问大家会不会觉得这个会让中国的那个狒狒14会有更多的玩家进来？有没有人有想法？
有一点吧，但是魔兽玩家他们有很多地方去了，有玩星际的，有玩 DOTA 的，有玩或者有去玩激战的，有去玩就虽然说确实有一部分来玩狒狒的，但并不是所有的，
并不会很多。
So as he responded, there are a few, there are a portion of the WoW players who came to Final Fantasy XIV, but I think a lot of them are gonna play StarCraft, Dota 2, and so yeah, in the end of the day, there are not so much of new players coming into Final Fantasy XIV because of the server shutdown of the Valve's Chinese server.
I mean, I guess I'd like to just know if MMOs are extremely popular overall in China, like if there's other MMOs that are out there being played that I might not be aware of that are a little bit more popular than maybe Final Fantasy XIV and maybe even WoW was.
他问一下，就是我们中国这边 MMORPG 是不是很流行？然后有没有一些，比如说 FF14、魔兽，然后有没有一些其他的类似的 RPG？他甚至不知道的，然后大家在玩的，大家觉得就 MMO 在中国算不算比较流行啊？
我可惜生药不在了，不然
其实不能算很流行吧，因为主要
这个我觉得跟他回了。
对，主要是国内题材，国内题材可能世界玩的不是很多，但中国很吃国内玩家的，就比如说剑三那类的，国内玩家可能会比较
功夫那种。
对。
是，可惜。
So there are a lot of Chinese MMOs that are they of course they only aim at Chinese players. We actually so our healers were not present today, but I wish she was there to answer this question because she is a Chinese MMORPG maniac. She plays. I mean, there are for those Chinese MMORPGs, they focus on the ancient Chinese lores, and uses all those kind of martial arts to fight each other. So yeah, that is pretty much how it looks like there.
Got it. Well, I mean, how does I guess the overall gaming community in China view Final Fantasy 14? Is it a very positive? I'm trying to think of the best words for it. Is Final Fantasy 14 seen positively by the overall gaming community over in China?
I'm gonna say no, but I'm gonna try to translate it.
Okay,
Let me
sure.
translate first.
Yeah.
就是他问我们，就是大家觉得这个中国的整个游戏群体对于狒狒14的玩家，的态度是怎么样的，或者他们觉得我们狒狒14玩家是就怎么样一个怎么说呢？就刻板印象吧。我觉得还好，其实。
难道不是一天到晚都在那说狒狒14玩家事儿多，天天挂人之类的吗？
没有吧，我接触到的就还好。
OK，
我觉得可以，还
So
可以
I'm
吧。
gonna elaborate on my answer just now.
Okay.
Final Fantasy 14 players in Chinese from a Chinese in Chinese communities are keen on sort of putting up they post others' mistakes in games on social medias so that people can agree with him and attack the player who is in who like disappointed that the person who posted about him. So like this happens all the time, which gives other gaming communities a bad impression on the FF14 community. Is what I think. But in response to that, Krabs thinks otherwise. He thinks 14 players are pretty decent, and it's not the case. Well, it's just opinions.
Yeah, because I cannot enter the website they post people because I'm in NA. I got blocked. so that's why I didn't see those posts. So I think it's people are cool, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was I remember it was a long time ago now. I was interviewing, and I think you guys even mentioned it. I was speaking to players from Japan.
GBD?
Yeah. I think so. And I think that in that conversation we were discussing how the Japanese community kind of saw maybe Final Fantasy 14 players, and I think they all related to people who play MMO as toxic. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's very interesting. That's similar. It sounds like over at China too.
Let me translate it first.
Yeah.
So 就是他之前也采访过JP 的那个队伍叫 GBD， 然后就问他们就是在日本大家怎么看狒狒14的玩家，然后他们当时的回答就是狒狒14的玩家都很 toxic， 就是很不好，就是怎么样。就这样子，所以他就是觉得很神奇，然后发现从我们这儿得到了差不多一样的答案，所以就
文化有点相似的部分。
对，在美国的话，其实就并不是这样嘛，因为他们会觉得魔兽的玩家会更加不好一点，这样子。Okay.
Yeah, in response to what you just said, Astin said we had some common we have some stuff in common between Chinese culture and Japanese culture, so I guess that's the reason.
But I think the reason behind it is a little bit different because I've watched that MogTalk, and I think what they said is like in JP there are not so many competitive games, so Final Fantasy 14 is already a game that requires teamwork and you have to solve mechanics together. And if you make some mistake, people tend to blame you or something. But China, I think people play this game like really competitively. For example, I play Expert Dungeon in Chinese server and JP server and NA server. I play Expert Dungeon on 3 server. And I think Chinese server will clear the Expert Dungeon 3 to 4 minutes faster on average.
Wow.
Yeah. People just rush in, rush out. And if you are not using sprint between the pool, you're trolling. So, yeah. So people just really get really like efficiency, and if you are doing something like a little bit wrong, and some conflict may happen. So yeah.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, there's a lot of people in NA and EU they wouldn't get along with very well. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess that kind of leads me into thinking about how the world race is growing overall, kind of like we were talking about a little bit with the world race scene, and how when it started and everything. But does it seem like it's every single time there's a new Savage or new Ultimate, there's more people paying attention to it? Or does it seem pretty just static, like not really going anywhere?
他问就是每一次的零式和绝本出来之后，是不是就是你们会感觉到会不会有更多的人就是开始关注这一部分的内容，还是说整个都是比较平缓的，就是好像每一次都是这些人，还是说每一次会有更多的人会关注这个World Race 这一块？我其实觉得是会多的，在国内的话，
参与者和观众都有吧，参与者和观众
都有增加吧，
明显增加。比如说我们也算，
对
其实我们其实也算一部分。
我们以前就不玩，对不对？
对，以
确实
前可能没有那么高强度的竞赛，就是单纯的自己的喜欢的队友一起打，然后现在就是投入到这样的一个竞赛的环境，
更加 hardcore 一点，对
，OK，
行。
EQ said there are definitely a growing amount of both viewers and participants to the war race. 我感觉你们刚刚说差不多就是这个意思，好像没有别的。Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, that's fine. Simple and easy answer.
Yeah.
I guess another question in the past, Yoshida has done a congratulations to teams that are getting world first or second or third. He's kind of stepped back a little bit from that recently. But do you feel like since you're having to play on JP servers from China, that there's any issue with like maybe Yoshida kind of acknowledging some of those clears too, or do you think that he would just treat it the same as like a JP team clearing? Just your thoughts.
So do you mean what's the last part again? Sorry.
Oh, just your thoughts on like Yoshida maybe acknowledging if like a team from China cleared first or anything like that. Do you think that there's any chance of that, or do you think that maybe that would be avoided?
What do you mean by avoid?
Like
on Twitter, like he would post on Twitter.
I'm gonna translate.
Sure.
All right. 就是他说嘛，以前那个吉田不是就是他那个，比如说首杀、2杀、3杀，他可能都会在推特上那个就是提到呀，然后恭喜他们一下，然后后来就越来越少了，后来不是推到只提首杀，然后到最后现在不是这次首杀他提都没提嘛，就是他就想问Frosty 想问，我们现在就是假如说比如说中国玩家拿到了首杀的话，你觉得游戏 P 会在推特上提到我们，就是会以恭喜一个中国队的方式在推特上恭喜我们，还是说他会把我们当做一个 JP 队，或者直接就完全不提这件事情？你们是怎么想？
我觉得不会，因为他总体的，
你们先说。
SD 你说。
行，就我觉得，就是目前以小吉的性格来看的话，应该是不会。然后，如果当然要说的话，就是我们参与这个是为了自己享受来开心，又不是说为了得到说某一个人的认可。因为这个别人认可，那哪天别人不认可你，那你不开心。我们来参与这个更多的是我们做这个事情，我们很开心，我们享受这个过程。然后我们就做这个，就喜欢就做，不喜欢就不做，就这样子，并不是说我是为了某个人为了什么的认可。我觉得那样反而会显得叫内心很弱，因为你需要得到别人的承认才能觉得怎么样。我觉得更多的是，我觉得应该更多的是我们玩这个游戏就是来享受这个部分。
差不多。
从里面能得到开心你就做。
So Astin responded, he thinks probably no, as in Yoshi P will probably not mention us on Twitter if we ever gotten high ranked results. But on that regard, we are just playing to enjoy ourselves, playing for that thrill, playing for that sense of reward in the world racing. We don't really care about others' validation. You can't really focus too much on being what others think about you. Just it's more important to just enjoy the game itself than going owning your sense of reward into UGP's Twitter.
Yeah, a lot of people think that's super important. Is that post from Twitter? So
就很多人非常觉得这个东西非常重要，但其实我们 we didn't think about this is important. We don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Good. That lets you kind of play and do everything without having to be concerned about technicalities of all that. Because there is some I guess, I don't know if you guys want to talk about it too much, but just like the playing on JP servers from China, I really don't even know if they care. Technically, I think they're supposed to care, but I don't know if like the Square Enix or anyone really cares that much. Or have you guys seen like a lot of heavy enforcement on that?
I will translate first.
是
就他还是想问一下，就是一些大家在中国，然后在 JP 这个服务器上玩的这个事情，就他想问，就是说日本那边到底是说 SE 的那边到底是管，还是说其实就没有怎么管？然后他有没有之前有没有做过一些就是什么比较严重的措施啊，或者怎么样的？其实我是想说有的，因为我记得有一批封号潮嘛，对吧？
是的。
是的，
那个
其实不
太
明白。
正常消费渠道没什么问题吧？
对，其实是当时中国人太不守规矩了，就去那边发中文的PF 之类的，就这种事情。
是的，对环境有比较坏的影响，
对环境有比较大的影响。但后来其实如果大家都遵守规则的话，其实就没什么所谓。
不会这样。对的。
是。
So yeah, they all responded with similar response, as in there was a ban wave towards Chinese player in the past. It was because I think there was a sudden spike in Chinese player coming to the Japanese server, and a lot of them didn't know about the sort of unwritten rules of Chinese player playing on the Japanese server. They put up PFs with blatantly using Chinese, using Mandarin, and sort of breaks the balance. Went over the line and kind of triggered the Japanese community at that time. And I think I'm gonna add some more points to that.
Sure.
I think by that time Japanese players figured out a way to get Chinese accounts banned. They file a report on our accounts and claims that we don't use a real address on our accounts. And that is usually true because you cannot choose a Chinese address on the Square Enix website. So for most of the Chinese players playing from China, they are forced to use a fake address, and that is against the law of use. So they managed to get a lot of Chinese players banned, and of course it's widely concerned in the Chinese community. So people started to teach people how to behave on the Japanese server, and it came back to the balance was restored.
Okay, I got it.
The word.
Wait a minute. So they were saying that the address was incorrect, but how would they even know that to report it? Like there's not even a way to know that address on the account.
They just blind report.
They file a report to sort of encourage Square Enix to look into it. And of course, Square Enix, as the company itself, can look at your account profile and see if your address is a real address or not. I mean, even if it sounds like a real address, they can check your IP and find out, oh, you're playing from China. That is not your address. Banned.
Okay.
So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate. But I don't know all the different rules and reasons behind all that. I'm sure there's some level of trying to push everything over to the servers over in China as well, because there's a company that manages that too. I mean, does that make you guys feel like does it feel like uncomfortable or something of that nature to have to like do all that extra stuff just to have that extra challenge of seeing the content first, or do you not think about it too much?
就是你们每一次都要去日服去玩新的内容，会不会让大家觉得很不适啊，或者怎么样？就是我们需要做很多额外的事情来达到差不多的内容，这种会不会让大家觉得很麻烦或者很不爽？有没有这种感觉？
我觉得我们应该也就都习惯了吧。觉得
对，其实我们这边都已经习惯了。
确实是会，后面慢慢就习惯了。
可能一开始账号还有下载会比较麻烦吧。
我觉得就是进水也是老玩家了，其实。
确实
我其实还有一些观点，就是说，其实他会阻止一部分想要来玩的人，因为这个步骤太麻烦，所以他就最后就不来了，就是这个会有一点影响。
会的。
So most of us responded with we were a bit annoyed by all those extra steps we need to take before being able to play the newest patch. But it's been a while. For some of us, it's a few months, for a few years even. So we are sort of just used to it. In response to that, Krabs said, "It is. I mean, objectively speaking, this extra hustles must have stopped some of the players from coming to the global servers. But obviously, you are talking to those who have survived those steps and used to it. So yeah, you're not gonna hear their voices."
That's fair. Okay. Well, I guess there's some stuff that I also want to talk about just in general about the raid in Final Fantasy XIV, and just hearing your opinions on if you find a lot of it challenging, enjoyable, how things have changed over the years. And so I just want to ask this kind of like a blanket question to hear all of your opinions as really hardcore raiders, just in general. Are you enjoying the direction that raiding? I know this is completely off topic about what we were talking about a second ago, but I want to make sure to get this opportunity to ask: are you enjoying the way that Square Enix is evolving the raiding in the video game, or do you have any complaints about it or anything like that?
就是 Frosty 想问一下大家对 FF14的 Raid 的一个总体的观点，就是你觉得它是不是有挑战性啊，或者是喜不喜欢它，或者是喜欢哪一点啊？然后作为一些老玩家的话，就大家如果玩过很多版本，觉得狒狒14的这个副本的这个发展方向大家有什么意见？就比如说最早的巴哈什么你要看台词啊，或者怎么样，反正就整个副本做到现在它的一个趋势，就大家怎么样，就什么都可以说。
要不进水先回答一下？
我觉得
这个比较有发言权。
就 FF14的话，它有很多玩家诟病的东西，比如说什么判定和动画不一致，黄圈，就是我这黄圈我为什么还是死了这种问题。但是就别的网游可能是特效和判定是同时的嘛， FF10这个是分开的。但是你只要习惯了之后，反正也是见招拆招，就无所谓。我个人比较喜欢它的就是它不是以提升你的装备作为一个 MMO 黏住用户的一个途径，它是用它比较丰富的内容。像很多游戏它会让玩家花大量的精力在提升自己的装备，提升自己的战斗力上面，但是 FF14 不是这样子的，它直接就是让玩家去体验内容，这是我喜欢它的一点。然后呢，我从 3.2 也就是 A8S 那个副本开始开荒，其实我感觉最近尤其是 6.0 之后，它职业就玩家手里的这些技能变得太简单了。 这3.0的时候，因为玩家手里的技能复杂，然后副本也难打那个高难度副本的人很少。但是4.0简化过一次之后，其实就是我觉得个人觉得达到了一个难易度和有趣性的一个平衡点。像现在6.0，玩家手里的技能就太过无聊了，然后取而代之的是 BOSS 的机制越来越严格，然后就包括这次决欧的一些非常令人讨厌的优先级机制，我感觉这个方向我个人不是很喜欢。
All right, give me a second to
That's fine.
arrange my sentences.
It's a hard
金水，
one.
你刚最后说了是什么？就是最后说那个决欧那个优先级太多是吧？是说就
对
是
决欧优先级
他那个职业之间没有那个多样性，所以他那个决欧搞了一些这种优先级的东西难度来。
它是逼你把注意力放在小队列表的 buff 上。
All right. So, SR said, the one very fundamental thing I don't like about Final Fantasy XIV is the snapshots mechanics.
Mm.
So the snapshots don't come with the actual visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a usual thing between among all the MMORPG. But you can get used to it, so it's not really a big deal. What I really like about Final Fantasy is that it doesn't keep their players by forcing them to level their gears. Instead,
Right.
they reward you for, beating a certain fight, a raid. And he really liked back into maybe Stormblood or Heaven's War time. He really liked the job designs. They were very there are varieties between the jobs and especially the skills. But after that, they started to simplify the jobs. They make jobs more and more common among each other. They have like very similar skills, and he thinks Stormblood has got the perfect balance between the raid difficulties and skill varieties. And it's not so much right now. All the jobs seem to be the same, and in order to in order to
Makes the raider.
sorry
Makes the
yeah, they
raid
had
harder.
to make the
Yeah.
raid much harder to make us sort of ignore the bits of to make up for the simplicity of the jobs is the word I try to use.
Yeah.
Sorry. Especially for top, where you have to focus on the boss and debuffs of your parties instead of focusing on your own self. He thinks it's really not a good way to go with designing the jobs and the raids.
Okay. Would SR rather have more complicated jobs and easier raids?
他问一下净水说，你是不是希望就是会有一些更复杂的那个职业方面的一些操作，然后呢副本上相对来说更加就简单一点，你是不是比较更喜欢这样的一个方向？也不是说简单一点吧，就没有这么恶心的机制。
对对对。
Yes.
You know what's funny? In my 1 year of Mandarin, I know
Yeah.
So, okay, good.
Yeah, and I also want to add a little bit because
Sure.
I'm a fairly new player. I entered this game, I think, on patch 5.3. So the first raid I entered was E8S, and I love the performance and the music. Yeah, Shiva,
Yep.
And also after EAS, I start trying out the ultimate, and the first ultimate I entered was T. And the performance is also really good. So that just dragged me into this game because I used to play World of Warcraft. And when I first see this game, I see there are dynamos and chariots on the ground. I think how are people playing this game while you can know where boss gonna hit later? It's so easy.
Yeah.
And after I entered this game, I feel like I was wrong, and this is really good. And I love the music, and also I did UCOP later, and I love the song answers. So yeah, those performance really attract me, I would say. Yeah.
Did you see my interview with Susan Calloway?
Maybe not.
No.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's a good one. But I will just a response to the comments there. You know, a lot of what he said is I've been doing MogTalk for 8 years now.
Wow.
And I've heard all of these conversations through all of these expansions, and literally everything he's saying is pretty much the exact same as the episodes I've had of MogTalk over the years.
翻译一下呀。
Sorry.
No, just
那我来说，就那个 Frosty 刚刚就是说他做过很多次这种 MogTalk 的访谈，然后基本上不管跟谁聊天都会提到这个话题，然后大家都觉得差不多是这个，就大家都有相同的意见。
不知道跟我相同还是跟净水相同？
就跟净水。
No. It's really interesting to know that like the community's opinions are not very different on the game when it comes to rating.
Yeah. 就他发现大家游戏玩家就是打本玩家的态度或者是一些看法，很多时候是差不多的。就他采访过很多打本的玩家，就大家观点都很像。Yeah.
Yeah. Oy. So I guess another question I'd like to ask, just kind of comparing, just a curiosity question again, with the local servers versus the servers that are over and live over EU, NA, and JP. Is there a lot of differences between those servers, or is it mainly just a time delay, and that's it?
他问一下，就是我们的国服跟国际服相比的话，会有很多不同吗？还是说只是一个时间上的一个，就是版本上的延迟？
就一个点卡月卡吧。
对，
有点卡部分，对，还有就是国际服优化的补丁，往往会和某些
直接会加到这里，
一起整合，就提前享受到更优化的内容吧。
还有就是代理商的一些不同了，就比如说我们那个绑定可以有一些直升，好像国际服是没有这个的。
对，单独的一些活动。对。
So first of all, it might surprise you, but we can buy playtimes as opposed to subscribing.
Oh, okay.
In Chinese server, and also when they release a new patch, let's say the Chinese server is going to put up 6.3 soon, and we've had a few minor patches after 6.3, haven't we, on the live servers? And those minor patches have got some optimizing content for performance. We get to have those optimization patches together with the 6.3 on the Chinese server. So that's a plus point for us. And in addition, since we have a company, a Chinese company that runs the game instead of Square Enix directly running the game, we have different some of those unique events, dedicated to Chinese players, either in game or in real life.
Got it. Yeah.
And I want to add a little bit. So Overflow saying like if you receive a patch, like combine some minor like adjustment is a good thing, but I don't really think that much because since for example PAS, the people like on Chinese server, when they fight PAS, the top boss and the final boss, the HP already got tuned down, so they don't have the chance to fight the global version. I mean the harder version. So when someone finally got like a week 1 clear, they post on our forum, and there will be a guy coming into the comment and saying, "Congrats, but it was harder in JP," something like that. So
Yeah.
they didn't get a chance to experience the original taste. And also like P4S, I remember the Paladin DPS is really bad, but it got tuned up, got buffed later. And
Yeah.
when Chinese patch got we got the Chinese patch, the Paladin already got buffed. I mean, yeah.
It's the exact same meme from the
Yeah, because I watch Twitch every day, you know.
Yeah, and you know, the one thing I did notice is in some of the translations, you guys just say the word toxic, like it's just an international word is toxic. Is that the case where a lot of people describe the toxic attitudes with just that word in English?
I think it's a word in English because there's no a direct translation to that.
There's no direct. Okay,
Is there?
that's fair.
1 second, I'm just gonna ask around.
，Sure。
番茄，你觉得
就大家觉得
toxic 有中文吗
toxic 就是人就是态
他们
度很不好的这种有没有一个中文对应的一个词？有没有？我觉得
你说游戏就是碰到一些
对对对，碰到一些就是态度很差的那种人，就说他很 toxic，然后有没有一个对应的中文的词？好像不太有。
攻击性极强，
我感觉
攻击性很
就
强，
也不一定攻击性极强，有时候就是他们就是说话很不友好。
对对对，
我觉得还要
很不友好
区分一下那个群体。如果是
对
西人的话，会有一种叫土豆芽的称呼。
土豆芽，
土豆芽毒。
Oh yeah, we have
yeah,
we have a term for sprouts who are not very nice to you know like if we have like new players we call them sprouts as the same as you know the Western community, right? We call them toxic sprouts if they are not well behaving. So
Not
there's that, but we
sample.
don't really use toxic as a word usually in the same way as you know what Western players do. We do use like unfriendly or stuff, but they are just like you know like a very general word instead of you know something that's limited within a gaming community.
So yeah, almost toxic seems more of like garbage or disgusting or something like that. Like
yeah.
Okay, repelling. Like you wouldn't want to be around them. Okay, that makes sense. It's sort of the same, but a little bit different in the context, I guess. All right. You know, a lot of people talk about the community being really positive over in the NA and EU. I mean, but there's always the exceptions and everything. Would you think that the community over on the Chinese servers are positive? It almost sounds like it's not in some situations. Like for new players, you know.
OK。So 就很多人说美国跟欧洲他们的这个FFXIV的环境相对来说是比较好的，当然是跟其他们那边的魔兽什么环境对比嘛，就觉得狒人都互相比较友好。然后他问一下，就是觉得中国的这个玩家的这个环境，大家觉得怎么样？然后他自己觉得听我们说，感觉就是很不好。然后或者说，比如说对豆芽或者对一些就整体的一个氛围吧，就感觉怎么样？我觉得你们可能都有一些不好的影响。
就前面那个词，我觉得就是可以用刻薄来形容，是不是有点像？
刻薄。
主要它重点是这个词是限制在就是游戏玩家之间的，因为 toxic 这个词就是自从就是这些网游啊之类出来之后，那个游戏上大家一些比较极品的人，哎，极品这个词怎么样？就反正就是有一些比较极品的人，然后他们就管它叫 toxic。当然极品肯定不太对，那个
确实。
没有，其实肯定这个跟游戏关系不大，因为这两种人就都存在，一个是比较友好的。
不要讨论这个，我就觉得整体的环境这种，
对整体环境，
整体环境其实也跟欧美差不多啊，就该有的都有。
我觉得还好，
我觉得还好，坏的大家都有啊。
主要是在于那些好的不会专门去发帖，专门去感谢
啊，确实。
你看到的都是那些不好的，然后你就会感觉都是不好。
确实，因为看到的都是表现出来的一些不好的东西，比如说挂人啊什么，但好的你其实不知道。
看你注意力放在哪。就我们也有好的 UP 啊，然后有一些那个
是紫妍姐姐
他们做子，然后还有包括那些做翻译给国际服第一手资料，像叶北啊，他们那个等等都
对
都有啊，就 甚至也有做那个换花站的。其实我们从他们那边获得很多收益嘛，包括素素也做了一些对那个新人很友好的东西。就关系看你注意力放在哪里。
是，
确实。
嗯
So Clark said he had an opinion that everybody agreed with, is that it might look very bad, as in the negativity is going around in the Chinese community, but we all think it's not as bad as it sounds. It's just that when there are the toxic players in the Chinese community tend to go to the more sort of extreme side of toxicity, and they post people around on social media, and that is all you see. But most of the nice, decent players are just keeping themselves within their friend circles, keeping silent, not really, causing too much drama around. So that's one point. And in response to that, Astin also said, it all depends on your like where you're focusing on, because we've also got really nice community players who like support, who make supports to the community, like making guides, also like for those like we mentioned before, we had some people who make translation sheets for us to use when we play on international servers. Yeah, it depends on your point of view, like where you're focusing on. If you focus on those who are toxic, they are kind of going to that extreme toxicity. But when you are looking at those nice players, especially those who make contributions to communities, they are also really, really good and very keen on helping the community grow.
Got it. This is not involving the world race at all, but I'm very curious. Do you have a lot of players who do role playing and things of that nature on the Chinese servers, or is that a exclusive thing to EU and NA?
他问我们国服有没有很多人玩那些 RP 或者是一些就是那种 role play 这种感觉的，还是说只有美国和欧洲有？其实我们也有。
那可太多了，
那可太多了，
不能播的，不能播的，
能播的不能播的都有。
OK
Yeah, there are way too many, and some of them going over page 18.
Oh, it's it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So okay, all right. Kind of getting back, I guess, to the world race and everything. I do want to talk about the recent world race, and there was the situation with one of the teams that cleared it first, and everything, and it caused a lot of upset players out there, and it was in my opinion, it was a really, really bad what a lot of players did to those players, right? As in they harassed them and everything else. But it was a pretty big upset. And I did want to get your opinion, and maybe the opinion of a lot of the community over there that follows the world race scene, how they kind of thought about how all that stuff unfolded.
最近的这次首杀就是绝欧嘛，然后大家也知道第一名的那个 unnamed， 他们第一名，然后因为开挂啊什么的，然后被封了。然后呢，其实被封了之后呢，就是在他们那边有很多人就是有一些比较过激的一种网暴行为，就是对他们包括人肉啊什么的，就是这种行为。然后Frosty 个人觉得这个东西很不好，然后他想问问大家看法，就是说对这个事情怎么看？然后另外的话就是说，大家总体来说对这个就中国的玩家对就这个事情有没有关注？然后怎么看？这样子。
这个有很多看法，我要全讲一遍。
可以一部分
你先说完，太多了我就让你先停一下。
确实。
就如果是对于那个被网暴的事情，那属于那个日本那边文化那边的情况，就经常说，就他们很叫尊小礼无大义嘛，这种感觉，就可能日本玩家觉得好像毁了他们的那种面子一样，就这样网暴。那如果中国玩家怎么看？ 分批啊，就我们有分叫所谓的月球派和地球派嘛，然后所
确实，
以就大家玩家群体之间意见也很不一样。那反正观点的话，之前也问过 Conrad，然后我们也同意他们那种观点，这其实是那个吉田他没有很明确的界限嘛，那玩家只能按照自己的选择来做。
So in regard to in JP players attacking the world first team and asking things, it's sort of a JP culture, and he doesn't have much comment about it. He thinks Japanese players think they are ashamed having a team that uses third party tool to get first, and they ended up a bit radical against the team. And from a Chinese community point of view, I think people have different views on that regard. And us, what we have we've all watched the past episode of MogTalk when you interviewed Kindred about it, and we really agree with them. I'm just gonna recap it for those who didn't. They said something around the line of since UGP didn't regulate it, players can only play it with their own standard, and we can't blame them for not having a same standard as everyone else. So like if players want to enjoy the game in this specific way, you cannot say they are not doing it right. They are bannable because because Square Enix never really regulated it, and we all agree with it.
Yeah, I think I've talked about this a little bit as well, and I support Square Enix and what they're trying to do and everything else, but there are glaring issues out there that have to be addressed with that stuff, and I can't police it. I don't think a lot of people are able to police it, and the community shouldn't be responsible for trying to police that kind of stuff either. And so, good. Yeah.
So 就他自己也是跟 SE 那边有一些接触啊，然后也提到一些关于就是这部分的问题，但是他们可能说要处理这个问题的话，也是有很多步骤要做，所以他们就是暂时也没有办法去完全去处理它。然后Frosty 他本人的话也是没有这个权利，也没有这个能力，就可能说就精力嘛。然后他觉得玩家也不应该说是为这个去就负责啊，需要处理这些事情。Yeah.
And really just, I hope that there are changes. The only thing that Square Enix can make changes within the code and everything else to kind of maybe deter it or make it less likely or something like that. But it is just a really awkward situation to be in, because I know the other stance is that they do not want to put any kind of tools in the software to monitor what someone has on their computer. And that might be almost a requirement in some of the fixes they would do. But there are also other ways to fix it, and it's up to, hopefully, them. And we all have to follow, in the end, if they rule something and they ban a team or they ban players from it, we have to follow that was what they ruled out. But I do hope it changes in the future. I hope it, because it's not a fun thing for me personally to have to deal with. Yeah.
Frosty 他非常希望这个事情能有所改变，然后希望 SE 能做一些就是他们能做的事情，去改变一下现在的现状。因为这个现状现在确实很尴尬，因为大家有不同的想法，然后有不同的标准，就也没有一个统一的标准。但是呢SE 他们那边又不能在客户端上就是给你装一些就是客户这边的一些东西来检测你电脑，所以他们可能也做不到一些很实际的方法来解决这个问题，就他希望就是未来可能会不会有其他的方法来解决这个事情，而不是像现在这样。Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry for being long-winded, but go ahead.
Oh yeah, I am no gaming developer, but I don't see it being such a hard thing to just, detect third-party tools like all those FPS games do.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's
just my 2 cents.
It's there's a lot more that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it, and I think there's actually legal issues with having that kind of software on players' computers as well. And I don't know exactly how. There are like VAC and there's other things out there that game developers make to kind of hopefully block that kind of stuff. But I don't know if that's a focus for Square Enix, because it almost feels like they make a single player game that people can play together. So I don't know if their focus is having really high level competitive stuff. And the world race has evolved because of the community. It wasn't something that Square Enix pushed and tried to evolve, right?
对，就是他Frosty 觉得可能是因为一些法律问题，或者是一些什么规则的限制，导致就是 Square Enix 它现在不能够就是像FPS 一些游戏一样，就是扫玩家电脑啊什么的，就是检测那个第三方插件。然后呢，他想也有可能是因为这个现在不是 SE 的关注点，因为感觉他们现在做的是一个可以大家一起玩的一个单机游戏，就是他们关注点可能没有在这个这么竞技性这么强的这个部分上，然后感觉这个手杀竞赛像是玩家就自发组成的，那本身也是嘛，就是自发组成的一个项目，并不是可能 SE 它本身的一个关注点。
Okay. Is you? I see the light coming up. Does you have something to say?
小雨，你刚刚想说什么？
小雨刚刚有什么想说的吗？他看到你麦亮了一下。
没有。
Okay. Mayo. Okay. So yeah, and I hope that in the future we do see, because for me, I'm trying to create this platform that allows sponsors to come in and allows everyone else to come in. And so it is kind of important that everyone feels okay and happy. Square Enix is happy, the players are happy, and everything else. But this is a situation that I think that we just have to wait on Square Enix to fix. Yeah, that's all. You can pass that along, but I won't harp on it too long. Sorry, I have a lot of opinions on it too.
Yeah， 就他还是觉得就是这个事情因为就是涉及到的很多事情，可能只有 SE 可以解决，所以他还就又感慨了一下这样子。Yeah.
Okay. I do want to ask this. We don't have these kind of bridges of communication happening too often. And again, I want to do a special thanks to Krebs and Overflown for helping with that. No
worries.
But while we have this kind of doorway open where we can talk freely about all this kind of stuff, does anyone on the call have any questions about maybe the NA community or EU community or anything else that maybe even people in chat might want to help answer, or I could try to answer about the world race or anything else with Final Fantasy XIV from our point of view?
就是他首先非常感谢大家，就是这个桥梁建立起来了嘛，就是中国玩家跟主要是英文这边的玩家的一个交流。然后他就是想问问大家有没有想了解美服的或者想了解欧服的玩家的一些事情，然后或者说现在在看他直播的人有没有问题想问他们的，或者有没有问题想问 Frosty 的，就是关于美服欧服的FFXIV玩家，就正好是一个沟通的机会嘛。有吗？
感觉这个问题需要让小哭老师那边收集一下吧，因为他那边转播有延迟。
确实。
Alright, so as Tim said, we can have Ku Sensei collect some of the questions from the Bilibili stream and ask it over here. But it's gonna take a few, maybe 10-20 seconds.
20 seconds? 10-20 seconds is pretty fast.
Yeah. as in there are latencies between stream and restream and sending it back to us.
Okay.
Yeah, so while Ku-sensei is collecting some questions, I do want to ask, can NA player read?
Is this in regards to macros?
Yeah, because I heard that NA player cannot read, so they don't use macro. And when I played on NA server, they just put it on a marker, put a marker and do the porting position. Mm-hmm. And every time I enter a different group, I got a different position. So I'm so confused. Why don't just use a macro or something like that? Yeah. So
is it on Chinese servers? Is it common to use macros, or is it do they do the wave markers?
It's common in China and in JP, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Chinese people, when they enter the raid, they don't usually put out a macro unless someone forgot their positions, but they do have macros in their guide.
Okay.
So the guide will provide the macro related to it, and when people are start a fight, they already know where they should stand.
Okay. Okay, that's pretty
Yeah.
funny. NA is literally the last remaining region that uses way markers to assign positions. And that is hilarious that it's only used here. I personally, you know, I guess it's masochistic in a way. I enjoy it, seeing all the different way markers go and seeing everyone kind of move around and try to do their thing, because it's kind of funny to me a little bit, so I don't mind it too much, but I understand your frustration.
就是我刚刚问了一下他们，就是 NA player， 他们就美国的玩家，他们不用那个红嘛，然后就每一次我进本都要站到不同的位置，然后他就说，确实他们就不喜欢用红，然后他们好像是最后一个不用红的一个服务器了，然后他觉得进去之后大家互相站在位置其实挺好的，但是可能他也理解我的一些就是困扰吧。Yeah, because I was trying to prog. I mean, after I cleared DSR in JP, I played in PF. I think in Ether, and trying to get a clear in NA server. And I'm a tank player, so I have to ask another tank every time when I enter a party finder and have a different position. And it's making me mad, you know, because after 3 wives, you get out of the raid and you trying to find another group and it's a different position. So it's so hard.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's okay. I don't know. I'm just used to it. It's like when you do something so much and you know it's not the right way, but you're just used to doing it. Sort of maybe like the snapshotting. You just gotta get used to it.
I'm reading the chats on Cool Sensei's stream, and I'm just gonna go ahead and translate a few questions they've come up with.
Yeah.
So the first one is do EU and NA do EU and NA players do wall-to-wall pools in dungeons?
Yeah. It depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Usually it's smart to ask if a tank or healer is okay doing it before doing it, because it can cause drama if there's a new player that joined and they can't keep up, and then it will cause a lot of frustration within the group. But most will, yes. But very often you run into issues if you don't ask first.
Okay.
Sorry, I was reading chat. Sorry. 就是刚贝飞问他，就是 NA 他们美国的人打4人本会不会就是一波拉到底？然后他说，其实经常情况下也是会有的，但是有些时候会出现一些问题，就是你如果没有事先询问，就一波拉到底的话，就可能会出现问题，就会造成一些矛盾。Okay.
I guess I do want to put a clarification on that. On like experts that are done every day, most all the time is wall to wall. It's when you're doing like the ones new players are playing, it gets a little bit weird because you don't know if they're going to be used to it. And Chad is telling me 100% wall to wall should be expected.
对，他就说，其实每天打的那个高难4人本的话，一般都是一波拉到底的。但是，如果是比如说一些练级啊，或者什么5、6、7，会有一些豆芽在里面的话，就你可能会想考虑一下这个豆芽到底能不能奶得住，或者能不能清得掉然后Twitch 的上面的一些观众说，必须拉到底，Okay.
Right. Another question from Cool Sensei's chat asking, are there party fender teams for ultimate fights, especially top?
Yes. And they all suck.
All right.
They're all they do them, and I have done them personally, and they can't get past phase 1 normally. there are groups out there that have claimed to get pretty far into it, but usually it's the same players that like meet up all the time, and they like make link shelves or they make discords. It's not all random people getting together and getting far in there. Most of the people that's all random people can't get past phase 1 in my experience, but there are some groups out there that mostly do Party Finder, but in the end it turns into kind of like a semi-static by the time they get cleared.
就是他们在招募版上也会有绝本队，但是呢，这些绝本队都很烂，然后基本上打着打着就比较好的人，他们打着打着就比较熟了嘛，几个人互相都认识，然后就拉一个备啊什么的，慢慢的就变成那种半固定队了。就其实我自己打过，我也知道，就是有人会拉我进那个备，就觉得你打得好，然后慢慢的这些人就也不去招募版了。但是就是如果所有人都是刚进的，就生面孔都不认识的话，那基本上就是像绝欧的话 ，PE 都过不去。Yeah.
Yeah. And
我想问一个，就是
Go ahead.
就是在美服的玩家，比如他们知道队里有中国或者是 GP 玩家的时候，他们的第一印象是什么？然后就是他们会有什么反应？
你是说在那个招募版吗？
就是跟前面问的问题一样，就是前面不是问日服玩家对国人会有什么看法，然后我想问一下欧美的玩家对国人有什么看法
？Okay, so Clark is just asking, in general, what do NA players think about Chinese players? Maybe like, what's your first impression if you see a Chinese player in your PF?
That would be amazing because I don't think that's ever happened to anyone. Because I don't think there's a lot of Chinese players that like come into Party Finder, and I think that a lot of people in Party Finder they're just used to English, right? And so they're not used to is this a player from China? Is this a player from Japan? Or is this a player from anyone else from any other place? But the NA servers just kind of all stick to hey, they speak English and they don't think more than that. It could be very international because we do have people from like New Zealand and from like other countries that are not in the North American region that play on it, but no one thinks past speaking English to each other.
对，就是其实美服的话，它不像日服，就日服全是日本人嘛，或者一些中国人。那美服的话，其实全世界的人都有，所以他们大脑也比较直，就只要你说的是英文啊什么的，他就不会想太多，不会觉得你是中国人或者怎么样的。就他们本身就有世界各地的人在那边玩，就是各个时区的都有。就像我个人的话，我其实就是认识一些朋友，什么在马来西亚，包括他刚刚提到的在什么新泽西啊，或者反正新加坡乱七八糟什么地方都有。我认识一些好像泰国的人也在那边玩。对，
好的，谢谢。就是那我想问一下，就是比如说我们跟自己人沟通是用中文嘛，那我们可能一不小心手滑把它发到小队了，那这种情况，因为之前我在日服玩的时候有发生过，那在美服。比如说你的聊天频道突然蹦出来一堆中文，你是会什么感觉？或者是会好奇，还是说
会举报？
if someone accidentally sends Chinese in the chat, maybe they meant to DM someone, but they accidentally types Chinese in the party chat. What's your reaction?
No one cares.
And in response to that, Trev said report right away.
No, it's
没有人在乎，他说。
Like it's like no one cares. Honestly, most of it is they wave, right? They wave, they say hi.
Yeah.
And then they go to their way marker.
Yeah.
As long as they can go to their way marker, they wave and they do mechanics. The worst that they'll think is like, oh, well, they don't talk a lot. Okay, they're just not very social. That's it. They don't think anything else. That's it.
对，因为在美服的话，大家进本的话，就是先发一个那个打招呼的标记，就是一个 O 加一个斜杠，就像你在招手一样。然后发完那个标记，就去自己地上发的那个点位，就是每人占一个点位，然后就开始打本了。就只要就大家做这件事情，他们就不会很 care， 所以就是没什么关系。然后最多的话就是觉得你这个人比较沉默寡言，不太就跟大家交流，但是也不会多想。Yeah. 真的还有问题吗？
I'm seeing an interesting question on Cool Sensei's chat. Wait, sorry, I need to find. Oh, are there a lot of mentors out there? And is it easy to find is it easy to find a match for the mentor roulette? And
It's a meme.
He also asked, do people use Duty Finder to play extreme fights?
No. So on the mentor part, mentors are a
Mhm.
joke on NA completely. It's all a complete joke from our side. I think the roulettes, I can't remember. Someone in chat might be able to tell me because I haven't ever done one in, I guess, in 5, 6, 7 years, whatever, since it came out. But I don't know how often that cube pops. I do know that no one takes it seriously over here because a lot of people with mentor tags are more memes or jokes than anything else because they have bad opinions sometimes. And then they get mad at other people for disagreeing with them. In regards to the extreme portion, it can only be done in Party Finder. No one queues up for Duty Finder in that. I mean, I'm sure someone may queue up for it, but they'll never get a group because it's all done in Party Finder.
对，就是导师这一块的话，在美服其实是个梗，就是你说你是导师，就跟国服你说你是就是锤导一样的那种感觉。就其实大家都觉得这是个笑话，然后经常会有一些导师会说一些很不靠谱的事情啊，或者一些很不靠谱的回答，所以他们都不是很喜欢这个位置或者说这个词，就不会觉得导师是个很受人尊重的一个位置。然后极神那一块的话，就是说极神同样排不到，就你得在招募板上去找人打，除非有极少数，可能是不懂事的豆芽之类的。
他的意思是你就算去排，因为没人排，所以你也排不到人。
排不到，对对对。
I will say chat is claiming at least that there are some old extremes, very old extremes that will pop up in Mentor Roulette every once in a while from A Realm Reborn because Sprouts don't know about Party Finder and they accidentally click on it. But other than that, usually not.
Oh, sorry，就是他说可能会有一些老的极神会有一些在你的排导随的时候会排到，但是就是大部分的还是说在招募板上去打，对。
And also I did want to add on to one point because this comes up a lot within the North American and EU discussion about ultimates being done within Party Finder. There's always the comment of they have been, right? And so teams have done it. It's never like, okay, this is a common thing to be done. It's always like a rare exception. And so you'll always be able to find a counterpoint to say, yeah, ultimates can be done in Party Finder, but normally people who are really trying to attempt to get onto like Discord servers where they can communicate to people who are like going to be kind of serious about it, and then they have to be a little bit more, I guess, less F you, I'll leave the party really quick, and then not think about it because they're in a Discord server and people have their Discord contacts and everything else. I don't know, maybe it's just a different feeling on Discord versus doing it in Party Finder.
对，所以说美服大部分的就是野队的这个绝本，还是说就是你说纯路人或者在那个招募板上组队能不能清掉呢？他当然是可以的，但是只是说而已，就可能大部分的还是最后都会到一些比如说Discord 上面去，就大家组一个语音队或者怎么样的，就慢慢的就会变成这样子，就只是说你要说不可以嘛，那肯定还是会有这种情况，就是你可以在招募板上把这个绝本清掉这样子。然后贝菲，你可以跟他说一下，我们就可以看看他有没有别的问题，就弹幕这部分。
那我跟他说一下一那个问题呗。
好。
All right. Our other melee who is not present today asked me a question that he wants me to bring up this question. He wants to know about what EU and NA community think about logs, about selecting members when you by looking at their logs, the color of their logs, the percentile of their logs?
So I have a different opinion probably than other people in the NA community. I mean, everyone in the NA community probably has a different opinion on it. A lot of really serious groups, of course, look at logs and they look at these numbers and everything else. But I don't have anything on my computer even downloaded that might produce that information just because of the position that I'm in. So I never really even focus or care too much about it. I know it exists out there. If you go and you look at my stuff, it's all gray. So I can't judge people too much for it. But then again, I'm in a different style of play, player base, or a different, like, I'm a little bit more casual overall in that regard, to where I judge a lot of people on the play experience that I have with them and the opinions that other people have versus what shows up like on logs and everything else. Because I know there's always going to be people who only focus on that, but their personality is horrible, and you can't play with them, and they will be bad for your group because of the toxicity. Yeah. And there's a lot more that goes into leading a group in the overall sense of that than what those logs can be produced. And I, as a healer who heals in Party Finder, I have bad logs because people die all the time. I can't just have good logs for that. So
rest.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on it. I think if you're like really serious and you're going for world first and everything, of course they're going to look at it and see if you've put the effort into trying to at least look good. It's kind of like going for us in the US, going and getting a college degree in some sense. Like you went through the pain of doing it. That's all it really means.
Frosty 他说，其实对于 logs 这部分的话，大家都有不同的观点，他自己也有不同的观点。然后他认为，就是很多特别认真的队伍在组人的时候会看 logs， 就比如说想要去冲击成绩的什么的。但他自己作为一个就是这种talk show 的一个主播什么的，就他自己玩的比较休闲一点，他就是不太会看这个 logs。然后呢，他更加关注于玩家的经验或者是就你以前打过什么本或者是一些其他玩家跟他玩的一些看法之类的。然后有的人他就担心，就是比如说有的人他只看 logs， 然后招进来之后发现性格不是很行，所以就没有办法相处。从一个带队的角度来讲，就这样的话，你整个队伍也进行不下去。所以他说总体来说的话，看 logs 的人也是比较多的。然后他认为就是越是认真的队伍，可能就是 logs 会看得越多这样子。Yeah. I have a little bit opinion on this because in Chinese scene, I think the hardcore group will not that focus on the logs, I would say, because they care more about the I don't know how to describe it, like the feel when they like play with you or during the progress. Yeah. Chemistry not like the performance. Are you like stable? Like for example, if you can you make only one mistake in a 10-hour raid, then you are like god tier player. Even your logs is not that high, like purple
consistent.
Or maybe 90-ish. Like yeah, but if you are like logs 99 but you make mistake every time or make mistake a lot, so people will not be happy when they choose you, I think. Yeah, so
when you're talking about the world race scene, one of the biggest things to be able to do is be consistent with executing mechanics, and that's it, because the more consistent you are, the closer you can get to walls, and it becomes a DPS issue. That's pretty easy to fix in comparison to being consistent to get to the next phases.
Exactly.
Yeah.
对，他说就是从世界就是竞速的这个角度讲的话，稳定性确实很重要因为你这样的话才能更多次的达到更后面的对吧阶段嘛，然后DPS 相对来说就更好解决一点。Yep.
Yeah. I guess I should have asked some of the chat here if they had any questions for you all, but I'll give them a minute or two to come up with some questions. I know we're kind of getting towards the end because I can't believe it's been 2 hours already. It doesn't feel like it, but it has. But if anyone has any last minute questions or anything in chat, let me know and I can maybe get those across. I don't know if you have any other questions over from the Billy side.
And also talking about the DPS check, I will say something because our team during the progress, we were experiencing one night. We called it Night of Enrage. Like during the night, I can't remember. It should be like the third or fourth night during the progress. We were enraged on P1, on P2, on P3, and on P4. Like really not consistent. So we were trying to figure out a way to solve this. And our captain Aston just let us all get out of the raid and saying, "Oh, guys, just relax. Forget about the progress. Let's just choose whatever jobs you want to play and like most comfortable ways. Let's just change our jobs and play it for fun. By the way, for fun. And we play for 1 hour before we go sleep. So we change 6 of our jobs." And enter into the raid again, and we barely reach enrage after that. So that's the kill comp after we experience that night of enrage. Like it's really funny for us. I mean,
being comfortable in jobs is extremely important.
Yeah, out of like 19 jobs in Final Fantasy XIV, I think only 2 jobs we haven't used during the prog. We changed jobs a lot. Yeah.
Wow.
And that I wouldn't say it's a good thing because that maybe because you didn't prepare the comp really correctly, I would say. But like it's funny.
Yeah, it's hard to tell sometimes, especially when they make changes last minute. Like Paladin was a big question mark, I think, going into top because they made such drastic changes before.
Yeah, we were using Paladin, Samurai, Bard, Dragoon, and Red Mage, I think, and also Astrologian. And we switch all of these jobs. Yeah, especially when you change from Astrologian to White Mage, and our healer is just so happy. Like every time when we reach P2, he will type his numbers, the crit numbers on the boss in the chat every time. Like we can feel like she's so happy about it.
Big numbers are very important.
Yeah, big numbers.
Yeah. Okay, I have a handful of questions here. One of the first ones is kind of what you guys think about, and I guess the community overall thinks about the Criterion dungeons and the Savage 4-man content.
Oh, so what would we think about it?
Yeah, what does the overall community think about it? What do you guys think about it? What does the community think about it? Yeah.
Okay. 就他问一下我们，就是关于那个4人灵视的部分，就大家有什么看法，或者有什么想说的吗？或者整个你知道周围朋友啊，或者什么，大家有什么看法？
我觉得
4人本的这种高难，对。
我觉得4人高难是一个很好的尝试，但是那个4人灵视就是一坨答辩，那个纯调数值没有加新机制，但是我觉得4人一文确实挺不错的。
So Clark said he really liked the Criterion dungeon, but the Savage is just kind of dull because they just changed the numbers and didn't add in any new mechanics. So yeah, might as well just get rid of that and just give us Criterion dungeon itself. It's really, really nice content.
Okay, fair.
I think.
就我了解到4人灵视这部分，大家就是就 play it for fun， 就玩还没有什么好像竞速压力，就反而更享受一点。就大家我了解的都会更多的无攻略，不像这种绝本的会提前会有预习好攻略这些等等的，大家更多的会享受自己在于中间就是机制的解谜这样的一个过程。但 就是你零式部分我也同意，就是更多的就是数值上的，没什么新的东西，就觉得就换汤不换药，就只是为了好像延长时间，延长你的游戏时间这样子一种感觉。
So Astin said he agrees with the opinion on Savage because it's just numbers, same fights. It feels like they are just trying to scam our playtime because playtime in China is you can buy playtime in
Oh,
China
fair.
servers. Yeah, that's one of the focus we have. Right. On the other hand, from what he sees around himself, like his friends, people enjoy this fight a bit, in a sense, more than maybe Ultimate or Savage because it's a new kind of high difficulty content, and people haven't started to take it too seriously. Like there's no really serious world race going on. People don't have too much expectation on others as well as the fight itself. So many people don't who usually like learn the fight beforehand, try to practice beforehand. This time they come in blind. They enjoy the blind probing, which they might have not experienced in a long time for them. And turns out people really enjoyed it.
That's
blind
awesome.
progging, chilled progging. So he really liked the I think it's the best innovation from SE for a while.
Good. Just the rewards, they need to fix that, right?
Yes.
还是你说一下。
就是他说可能奖励上面要调整一下。Okay. And I want to add a little bit more because I think the blind prog experience is really rare in Chinese server because our patch is delayed. So when we were going to the progress, we already watched all the VODs, all the guides, and we know everything. So basically, it's a total different experience for Chinese people playing the criteria dungeon blind. I think yes.
Right. Okay. I do have a question here from Cleese. He wants to know how you guys managed to find members for your World Prog teams, and if you guys only mostly focus on players from China, or if there's other high-end teams out there that are bringing in like JP players or other players from different regions into your teams as well.
Is Cleese the guy, the meme guy?
He is 100% the meme guy.
Okay.
It says Grass JP. You're right.
We love his Twitter, by the way. 就是有一个弹幕问一下，就大家在那个找人的时候，找那个 World Progress 的人的时候是怎么找的？会不会就是比如说别的国家有一些很厉害的人啊，也会招进来，还是说基本上只招中国人啊？然后大家一般在哪里找？我觉得这个艾斯汀就稍微说一下吧。
我就问一下找人是怎么找，是吗？
对，
然后问一下
就是
是否就是会有没有那种就是高端的队找那个外国人？
就是我们找人一般是 NGA 或者是就内推吧，我们说就有点像他们说那个自己小圈子里人认识的那种。然后如果我自己队的话，就是其他队伍情况不了解，我自己队的话就是在 NGA 招募，因为我们队大部分队员都是从 NGA 招的。虽然说国人高南会对 NGA 的水平就是褒贬不一嘛，有觉得 NGA 来的水平都很差的，但我至少我们队是有从 NGA 招来队员里受益的。然后如果是有没有跟其他国家的队伍就玩家，我了解的话是有个人就懂外语的，他们会加入到比如说日本玩家的队或者是欧美玩家的队里面，就这种在日服、欧美服都有。但是大部分情况都是国人组队吧。然后
对他问的可能就是招外国人，就是整个队中国人要招一个外国人，这个应该不太有。对。
这个应该不太，因为我们队之前也讨论过，之前不是那个 Stella 他发那个招募吗？我们当时不是也缺 T 和原名，我们就开玩笑说要不要考虑一下。
你说那个谁吗？那个小姐姐吗？
对 ，Stella 小姐姐。
那个 Stall
绝二上，然后我们开
啊
玩笑嘛，但因为是语言问题嘛，然后我们队其实大部分人不会英语，所以
主要是语
最后
言问题。
对，主要还是语言问题。
如果是以中国人为主的话，可能是需要那个外国人会中文吧。
中文
如果是中国人加入到国外的话，就是会当地的语言，或你说会日语就可以加入日本的队伍，如果是会英语就可以加入欧美玩家的队伍，这样。
So Astin said most of the high-end Chinese teams recruit members via a Chinese gamers forum called NGA, or mostly they go by recommendations by friends. You know, because in that way it's more sort of reliable. At least your friend can sort of introduce you what he thinks about the person. That kind of sense. For us, as in Steelfire Team Steelfire, we got all of our members from NGA, the Chinese Gamers Forum. Although it's really, you know, in the end of the day, we really think it's a lottery draw. You know, recruiting from the Gamers Forum. It ended up well because I have to, you know, Overflown personally have to give Astin the credit for, you know, selecting the right player from all the applicants. He is really good at doing this. Yeah, but and then as to the part about teams who are who have a, you know, sort of international comps. He knows some of the individuals, some Chinese individuals who join teams from who speak different languages like Japanese or English in NA or EU, but we've never heard anything the other way around because, you know, for a foreigner, from a Chinese point of view, for a foreigner to learn Chinese is so much harder than, you know, finding someone who speaks English, finding a Chinese who speaks English. I mean, you know the difficulty. You've learned Mandarin.
I tried.
I've tried. Right. So yeah, there's that. We've actually during the recruiting season.
Yeah.
We actually saw Stoll putting up, looking for group, looking for party thread on Reddit. I believe, and we were joking about, you know, taking her in.
Yeah.
But, you know, we were stopped by you know, we were actually just kidding about it because we knew there were a language barrier. We didn't know she spoke Mandarin. I think she does, right? But yeah, we didn't know by that time.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Anyways, but we didn't think she speaks Mandarin by that time, so we were just joking about it. So yeah, ultimately there's this language barrier, and turns out it's very important to communicate in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah. Huh. Well, you know, on that note, for some reason, now since we brought up style, do you guys, what is, are there a lot of content creators or a lot of people out there that the community over in China follow to some extent? Like, do people follow Arthas? Do people follow Arthurs or like anyone else? Okay, of course.
Like, 就他问有没有很多中国的主播啊，或者是什么大家都知道阿瑟尔斯，就肯定很多。I mean, Arthas just did his Bilibili stream show. I think on April the 2nd, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1 week ago. He just streamed on Bilibili.
Oh.
In case you didn't know. Yeah.
I didn't.
Yeah, and he can speak Mandarin, and he's streamed for like 2.5 hours, I think. Yeah. 2.5 hours.
Huh.
And then there are tons of Arthas fans in China.
Oh, are there?
Yeah.
Okay. Are there any other content creators or anything that the community is kind of pretty familiar with, either from JP, NA, EU?
大家觉得就有没有很多就是其他的一些美国的或者是就是海外的一些主播啊，或者是视频制作者跟狒狒14相关的中国玩家比较熟的 ？Zeno。I would say，
我就比如之前 Echo 他们来会关注啊，然后或者是早先5.0的时候，那个 TPS 比较火的时候，大家会 会那个关注 C 方，
Yeah
然后再早以前是小胡子大胡子嘛，就 Mr. Happy
是
and
Mr. Happy，
Mr. Happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
菲菲也翻译一下吧，就
So during the earlier times, Mr. Happy and Xenos were very popular among the Chinese community. We call them Mr. Small Beard and Mr. Big Beard. So yeah, I'm sure people will be entertained to that fact.
Yeah.
And then later on, there is TPS who were quite dominant in the world racing scene. So of course, a lot of people were following their progress and stuff. And then Sphia was, I think they call him the mascot of the team or something.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
yeah, people really like Sphia, and they lots of black mage players likes to learn from him, like from his stream and his VODs. And yeah, and then later on there was Echo who comes to
Right.
Final Fantasy 14 to raid the ultimate well streamed, and that is wildly focused. Wildly, discussed and focused. Yeah, it's very popular as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, we are definitely over time a bit, so I might ask one more question here, but first I want to ask if there's any other questions I can answer for you guys directly. If there's anything else that you guys wanted to go over, any topics or anything that we might have missed. It feels like it's been a really short show, but it hasn't. But it feels like it.
就他现在因为这个时间已经超过2个小时，所以他可能会问最后一个问题啊之类的。然后他在问这个问题之前，就问一下大家有没有什么想讨论的话题啊，或者是就是感觉还没有聊到的一些东西想说一说的，就可以提出来。
感觉没，如果是觉得有什么没问题，可以以后增进与其他中国玩家交流嘛。反正像云玩家或子妍姐姐邀请，或者包括素素等等这些国内比较知名的玩家，可以邀请他们嘛。
So Athin said there's no any questions in particular, even if there are. We encourage you to invite more of the Chinese players and Chinese content creators to the show, and have some more communications between us. We are very happy that we were invited here, and we hope there will be more communications between our community and the Western communities.
Yeah, and I hope so too. Oh, go ahead.
And I have a topic that I want to talk about. It's a short topic. It's about the do you know there are several Chinese team on this TOP progress like achieved like high rank.
Yeah.
Like no CCHH, you know that?
Yeah.
And also like the world force is called the OP team. Like WOC OP. You know that?
Yeah.
So, any chance you want to know the meaning for their team name? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
So yeah. So no CCHH. CCHH stand for 嘻嘻哈哈 in Chinese in Mandarin.
吃喝喝吗？
No, it's 嘻嘻哈哈. So no CCHH means 嘻嘻哈哈 in Chinese means laughing. So their team name is means no laughing when you are raiding. No laughing and talking, I would say.
Okay.
During the raid.
That's a good one.
And also
Like the opposite of casual players, isn't it?
Yeah. And also C is the first letter for red mage in Chinese. And H is the first letter for black mage in Chinese. So the team name can also be explained as no red mage or black mage. So they bring a summoner.
Okay.
Yes.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah. And
yeah,
also,
I had no clue at all.
Yeah, because I think a lot of people in NA they know no CCHH. When I was watching the World Progress, all of them are discussing like who is this team, and actually I'm a big fan of them, and I play with them during like Savage or some culture
你不
content.
说说
Yeah.
奥吉巴 Pro 吗？
Yeah. and also another team named WOCOP. The name is like really weird. The WOC in Chinese means holy fuck, like holy f.
Yeah.
Really surprised. And OP is not overpowered. It's people who play
Refers to the player of Genshin Impact.
天性
Genshin Impact.
Impact, of course.
So their name is like holy f. This is a man who plays Genshin Impact.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So I really want to tell you in case you don't know.
I will ask, to be honest with you, this whole thing with the world race, and it's kind of like evolved over so many years and everything else, and it's something that I've noticed again, like the community from China is growing and building and everything going into the world race, and I've had not a lot of contacts to help navigate some of that growth, and so congratulations to all of you guys, because now you are my official contacts for all of this going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. 就他说他之前一直做这些访谈什么的，但是跟中国玩家之间就是不太有一些交流，然后他就开玩笑，意思就是说，恭喜大家成为我们就是他跟中国玩家交流的一个就是官方的一个什么交流渠道吧，就这样子。Thank you. Yeah.
这个啊，
And
好奇的
feel
是
free
如果有
to ask me. Feel free to ask me like any questions through Discord later. Overflow. Yeah.
Yeah. And Aston, what was Aston saying?
Aston, 你刚刚说什么吗？叫麦被
就我
我卡掉了。
们有谁有粉丝想要聊一下就 O78 Pro 的队名吗？因为他们是
Okay.
Their team name is from World of Craft Shadowland. The team master, they have a Chinese murmur. They say when they have a mistake, the teammate said, "Hey, we are brother. Even we have a different father, different mother, but we are bloody brother. So don't discuss it about it. It will broken our relationship. So just calm down." So their team name is from that OG Bro.
Okay.
OG8 Pro is the Chinese famous player's team name.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, they are the first team to clear TOP with triple range comp. Yeah. I think that chip was 17 or something. Yeah.
I remember when the servers first, I think, went over to China, and they were getting what was it, A4S? Was it A4S? I can't remember which boss it was, but it was cleared with, I think, 3 melee on the servers or something like really goofy at the time, and it was such a big highlight about how everything was already figured out and they went into super efficient like speed run mode of it. I don't know why I was remembering that, but I was triple melee and machinist on A4S. That's right. The long.
菲菲，你要翻译一下，我没注意。
Sorry. Which team was that?
I can't remember.
Or like
it was
when was that was like
就是想到了这么一件
A4S
事，对，就想到了这么一件事。
Yeah.
就想到以前速刷什么有3近战加个激攻啊之类的事情，就 Frosty 他自己想到的一些回忆。Yeah.
Yeah. But
it's really funny.
It made me realize, how that it was, I guess, the first moment where I realized that Final Fantasy XIV was a pretty big deal over in China in some regards already before the servers even got there, because the players were already familiar playing on other servers, and they kind of destroyed it when it came out on the official Chinese servers.
对，他就反应过来，就是他自己会有，他才反应过来就有这么多中国玩家在玩这个游戏，然后就是甚至有些玩家已经把这个本打得滚瓜烂熟了，就在自己的国家的服务器还没有开这个本的之前，就已经就是在别的服务器把这个本打得很熟练了，这样子。Yeah.
But that being said, I guess we can go ahead and start wrapping up the show. I mean, it's been a blast being here, to be honest with you. I always love doing these types of shows where I can go and just learn more about other communities. I normally can't because of the barriers there. And again, I do want to put special thanks to both Krebs and Overflown for helping break down that so we could actually have these kind of conversations. But yeah, again, you know, there's a lot. The Savage World Race. I guess I should ask this really quick. Is everyone planning to be part of the Savage World Race coming up?
他想在结束之前赶紧问一下，就大家有没有新的就是临时的打算，就互相之间怎么样？这其实我们正在讨论。We are in discussion right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
就主要我们会因为有些人工作时间的原因嘛，所以有些队员会有变动。其实这也是中国玩家打这种参与出的一个困难点嘛，因为就有时候有些人还是有工作和时间的困难，所以有时候只能参加一次，或者是以前参加了，我现在退出了。我也知道有很多很厉害的玩家，他们其实水平是可以参与进来的，但就是因为有现实的原因，所以就没有办法保证能一直参加。
So it's our major concern is the free time our members have to game hardcore, because in the past, let's say for TOP or DSR, they happen to be released during or somewhere near the vacation of some Chinese vacation time, and most of the players had time, and they just need to take like maybe a 1 day or 2 days break from their works or their schools to participate in the world race. But for the upcoming Savage, there's no vacation around that time. So from what Asting knows, there are many players, and there are many very skillful players who are kind of cock-blocked by the time.
I gotcha. That makes sense. What about SR's team, casual players?
清水那边感觉就是新的那个零式打算打吗？然后有什么安排之类的？
我们队伍本身也不是追进度的队伍，开荒也是每天3个小时左右的休闲队伍。然后因为各种工作原因，可能现在就以前的那些熟人，可能大部分都已经不玩这个游戏了，所以也蛮感慨的。
好。
So us as a team never really have done any war frogging stuffs. We usually, when there's a new raid tier that hits, we usually just raid like 3 hours a day until we clear the Savage. And even more this time, the more and more of our members have to focus on their IRL stuffs, and we don't even know what we're gonna do with this Savage.
Got it. Okay, well, makes sense. I understand it can get kind of complicated. I do want to, in some closing words here, just to go ahead and do my own thanks here. I want to give you guys all, however, an opportunity before I do that to say anything else that you guys want to say before we go off air. Is there anything lingering on your mind that you want to put out there, or anything else at all before we wrap up that you want to talk about?
他准备结束的之前，就是给大家一些，就是表达任何你想说的一些事情，然后就是有什么想说的都可以，就有没有什么要说的？我待会儿就帮那个依依说一下他之前说的那句话。就大家其他人还有没有什么？
如果要说的话，如果是关于，因为主播前面也问 Frosty 问到我们前面的那个临时高难成绩嘛，其实国人可能更偏向于绝本的成绩，更看重 临市吧。然后当然一方面也是年假的原因，就如果要请年假一次只能请一堆，那这样用在绝本上会我们叫好刚用在刀刃上这种感觉。所以国人成绩一般，中国玩家成绩一般相比国外会是就是绝本成绩会更好一点，然后临时成绩会相对差一点。有一点原因就是绝本到了后面，你国外玩家都年假不够用，就是年假的余额不用，然后这是一种像是战略上的选择吧，就这种。然后6.4临市的话，有一部分玩家不愿意打的原因，可能就是因为6.5没有绝，所以就想打的稍微轻松一点这样子。我说。
Okay. So Astin, just wanted to add what he just said. Add to what he just said. Chinese players, I think they value the ultimate over Savage, as in the achievement from World Racing. You can, and also it's also a kind of in real life thing that sort of affected the game, our traditions. I mean our thoughts about ultimates and savages, because usually you can take a leave from your work for a certain amount of time, and that amount of time needs to be it cannot be separated. So like if you want to take a break for one day, I mean you can take a break for once, and for I guess a few days, but you cannot take like many short breaks.
Okay.
I guess is what he's trying to say, and for that reason you can you can do ultimate. I mean, because Savage is like a 1 or 2 day job
Right.
to get done when you're doing world racing, right? So yeah, people prefer ultimate in Chinese server. As to the 6.4 Savage, I think many people there's also another reason that people don't really want to focus too much on it, is because there's no ultimate in 6.5, so people just want to chill. Maybe not even do weeklies. I don't know, but yeah, that could be one of the reasons.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
其
And
他
that,
人
yeah.
有没有
Go ahead.
I was asking other people have any like final thoughts
Yeah.
on 对 yeah 其他人有没有什么想说的吗？就都想说什么都行，或者怎么样？没有人
主要就是就像 S 丁说的，国人的临市成绩一直没有绝本那么好，然后希望这次不管是我们队还是别的队能有个比较好的成绩。然后如果我时间冲突的话，那我就可能希望就别人能打出更好的成绩。然后我还有一个想法，就是希望吉田把这个龙旗技改赶紧那个啥一下，别拖了。
贝飞，你听全了吗？
Sorry, my connection cut off
No
at the
worries.
beginning.
那我来吧。就
Okay.
So Clark said he hopes this time, I mean 6.4, the CN community can get another like good rank. Not only like our team, but maybe other teams. He hopes that some Chinese team can pop out and get some good rank, and he is preparing for some other things in real life, so he may not be able to attend it. But if he cannot attend it, he hope other Chinese team can have a good performance. And also he mentioned that 陈真刚刚后面说的那部分是什么来着？
He said in the end, please rework Dragoon now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let Yoshida know.
Please.
Thank you. And I have something for my teammate 11. It's another melee player. He cannot make it here today, and he told me he has something to say. So he thinks he hope more and more Chinese like good players can attend the world race. It's really fun, and not only for the result, but most important is for the journey and the memory. And during these few years, there's a trend that in Chinese community that people from different groups did not have a like good relationship with each other, and their fans also tend to like sometimes attack each other. Sometimes, attack each other. So he does not think this is healthy for the community, and hope fewer conflicts and like more tolerant for each other. I would say, yeah, that's what he said.
Okay.
Yep. And for me myself, I want to thank you for all the people during the progress that was in my stream supporting me, and I do really appreciate the journey. And also, thank Kindred, and thank you Alternates for all the strategy you show on the stream, and we learned a lot from them. And I remember when I pop into Bagel's stream, I was trying to figure out some like the mechanics or the mitigation he's doing, because he played Dark Knight as well. And only for 10 seconds, I start to seeing his transmog. I mean, the head, his head.
Yeah.
So I got sidetracked. Yeah.
Oh, the fish head?
Yes.
Yeah, the Namazu.
So I just forgot what I should do, and I play games for a long time. For example, like World of Warcraft for
I think
4 years. Yes,
go
for
ahead,
4
sorry.
years.
Oh, good.
And after you quit, and I think you may forget how good your pass is, or how you get like Rim first clear or something. But there will be like some friend you got from that game that will still be around you. So I think that is the most valuable thing to me. So I also hope for less toxicity in the community. Yeah.
Gotcha. What were you saying, Overflown? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just joking around, because I was gonna add, because everybody will realize, everybody has already realized you're a WoW player the moment you said transmog instead of
Oh yeah,
clans.
that's true.
Yeah, true. 还有什么其他人要讲的吗？就小雨啊，或者是有什么想说的东西？
我没有了，问净水是。
净水有要说的吗？
我也没有。
贝飞你自己讲吧，如果要讲的话，就其他人。
那我也没什么。
我
稍微说一点吧，just a little bit. I mean, I am extremely happy that you came to me and invited us to this show, and I'm really looking forward for more communications between the different communities. That's it, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I gotta say this for sure again. I do appreciate you guys giving us the time to come on and just talk and help this connection a little bit more, because I think it is really nice to learn more about players who are just passionate about clearing this content and being a part of the world race, overall. And I want to thank, of course, everyone who's watching for Billy and everyone who's so passionate about the world race scene. From that side, I know it's harder to the crossover because of Twitch, and being on the EU and NA side, going to Billy is not like very easy to do. Like even when I was looking at videos, I was like, oh, I need to get this video. Well, it's not only gonna let me do it at 360 unless if I sign in, and then I have to understand all the sign-in requirements and everything. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But I do appreciate like all the energy and support from different communities out there, even if we don't have easy communications, because the world race is a big part of what I do, is a huge part, especially now, of my life. So all the different aspects of it do mean a lot, no matter which community it comes from. So thank you to everyone that came on the show to talk about. Thank you to all the people who are watching from different streams, and thank you literally everyone that pays attention to world race scene.
对，他非常感谢，就是大家今天来参与这个talk show，然后也很感谢哔哩哔哩的观众和大家就是各方面的一些关注吧。 然后，因为他也知道，就是两边互相之间交流起来其实非常的不方便。包括他今天想要拿到晨晨的那个video 的时候，他下了半天只能下360p，或者你得就是登录，然后登录的话他就得认识这些中文，就非常的麻烦。所以他想就是反过来应该也是很就是差不多的，就中间会有一些。沟通很麻烦的地方，但是他还是非常感谢最后是做到了这个沟通吧，然后能让大家互相之间有更多的了解。然后他本人还是经常提到就是非常喜欢竞速这一块的，就是世界首杀这种进度这些内容的，所以他也非常感谢有这么多人的关注啊，或者非常感谢我们大家这些参与这部分的人，就是总之就是很感谢
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So now I'll go ahead and wrap up the show. Thank you guys again. Thank you everyone in Twitch chat. Thank you everybody for watching. And until next time, be good, keep cool, stay frosty, all that stuff. And everybody say bye. I know you can't see you waving, but just say bye. Or Sway Jiao too.
Bye.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Imagine.